All right, it is day 3, and we unfortunately had a little bit of technical difficulty with the broadcast being deleted. So I know some people were waiting for me to come into the live stream and the food as medicine training with a different host. So hopefully we can tag a few friends and get you guys in on the correct stream. We'll go ahead and post this to the announcements and the units page so you can find it. If you need to watch the replay, no worries. You can catch up at your convenience. So it's day 3. This has been such a blast. I hope you guys have been blown away and blessed and gotten to experience God in a new way, because this time of, just what we call, COVID or quarantine, everything that's hello, there I go again. Everything that's happened in 2020, if our hope is in our circumstances, if our, joy is tied up in our circumstances, 2020 is a rough year in the books. I've heard many people on social media saying, let's just call it a wash and start over at 2021. But that is not God's best for us. We see it throughout the book of Acts. No matter the opposition, God's people, God's church arose to the occasion. They continued praising God, and the gospel went forth mightily, and that's God's will for us. That's the example we see in the book of Acts. And the church was such a baby, and you'd think that 2,000 years later we'd be strong oaks of righteousness, mature in these truths, and yet many of us have been lulled to sleep. And I see 2020 as an awakening. A time to come back, to reprioritize, to really seek God first, like the word says, and not just because it's a commandment, because it's the only way to live life and experience the fullness. I mean, yes, because it's a commandment, but also because all of God's commandments are for our good. And so there's pleasure and joy in obeying God's commands. And so I hope you can have a perspective of 2020, that this is a year of breakthrough for you. Before the new year hit, I heard many people proclaiming and prophesying that this is a great year in God's kingdom. And I believe that with my whole heart. And 2020 has been an incredible year for me. It really has. And I'm here to share everything that has been that I've been investing in my time with the Lord, in my in my kitchen, in my everything that I have. I want to share that with you. I'm here to share that with you. And so this morning, well, it's still morning here, but we've got one of my favorite recipes. This recipe has really gone over well in my private Facebook group. And if you want to join us in my healing kitchen, it's a fun space. It's at this moment, currently, it's all ladies in there. And we just have fun together. And every week I do a weekly recipe demo and just share hope, peace, and joy in my healing kitchen. So what I want to share today, this detox recipe, I'm going to share something that I know most of us are still struggling with, that mindset around limiting and restricting carbs. It's been so deeply ingrained in the medical community, but the current research, the modern cutting edge research, as Delia said, it's 100 years of research. So we can't say it's like discovered yesterday and we're still in the trial period. This is 100 years of plant-based research proving that the current model used in the medical community around managing diabetes is not based on the full truth, on the it's not based on the assumption that our bodies are self-healing mechanisms. And that discovery that Delia mentioned, that the body has two default mode. The default mode is to run on carbs as fuel, but not processed carbs. That's where we got into trouble. So it's not those, when we say carbs, we still, I keep seeing comments like, I'm still afraid of carbs. Okay, that's great. Acknowledge where you are and be open and willing to renew your mind in this area. Because, right, fruit, carbs. Beets, carbs. But in the perfect package that God designed them in nature, look at this huge carrot, you guys. I'm gonna have to make like a double, triple portion. Carbs. Carbs are found in the garden. Carbs are a one component of the whole food that God gave us. And literally, I'm gonna try and think if I can think of a food from the garden that is carb-free. You're fine, take it. Trying to think if God made one food that's good for us in the garden that does not have any carbs. Can't think of one. I can't think of a single one, because it's that whole package that we need. It's the carbs and the fats and the protein and the, well, really protein, there's way too much to get into with protein, that I can't take a deep dive into that today. But carbs, fats, protein, plus vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and just these compounds. You think of essential oils. One of the essential oils, the phytochemicals in the peel of the lemon, and it's more concentrated in the lemon, but that lemony smell that you think of, those essential oils, limonene is a huge, like they took the extract of limonene and they tested it in a petri dish and it killed cancer cells. So foods are healing, right? And they're God designed this to work in here. It's a holistic, there's actually an understanding in the naturopathic community that might seem a little strange, because in modern science, in the medical community, it's more of like chemical interactions. And there is that, absolutely. But in the naturopathic space, the understanding is more that this has an innate wisdom. This body has an innate wisdom. And there's actually a communication that happens between the apple and the components of the apple, to be able to, one, turn on and off your hunger hormone, to be able to regulate, like these are things that God designed, that the mechanisms that, sorry, you guys. Okay, thank you, Lord. The mechanisms of how the interaction happens, we're still in the discovery process. But just know, as believers, we know that these foods were designed for perfect communication with our body. That's why they're healing foods. It's about the, having the right components that God designed them to have, the nutrients. Anytime there's a color, you get a different healing benefit, right? So this salad is very filling, but the whole reason I, got into that is because the concept of carbs, we're eating carbs. These are lower in carbs, but there are carbohydrates in leafy greens. Carbs are not something to be afraid of. When you think of carbs, I want you to think of red light carbs, like stop processed food. Again, I'm going to repeat this. I think I said at the beginning of our challenge. So really, really simple way to remember what's red light, green light, green light means go, go ahead. Yellow light would be proceed with caution, but red light is like stop, avoid it. Don't, set a boundary around that food. So your green light foods, we've already talked about this, just reiterating it again, all fruits, all veggies, any kind of herbs, anything from the garden. So you can have beans, legumes, lentils, chickpeas, whole grains. So again, at this very beginning of the reset, we recommend staying more with the raw foods because the healing happens so much more quickly. But that's a very restrictive way, and it's so different from our culture that we don't find it sustainable for most of us. And so expanding it more into the Daniel, the Daniel way of eating the vegetables. It was the same as the Genesis diet when God said anything, any fruit that is seed bearing. So fruits from trees or plants that have seeds that reproduce. This is what God designed to give us optimal health and optimal life in our bodies. And so with that, here's my simple recap to remind yourself. You can do it one of two ways. Green light foods, God foods. Red light foods, man-made foods. Or if it came from a plant, like if it is a plant, if it looks like a plant, right? Green light, go ahead, you're in the clear. Red light, if it was made in a plant, in a factory, something that has a package around it. Like, we all know the difference between, okay, they've created this packaging for my raisins that my son cut open when I have a Ziploc here, but created the packaging. What's inside? Something that is very minimally processed because these grapes have been pulled off the vine and dehydrated, but they still, they're recognizable as raisins. And the best part is when you turn on the back and you actually look at the ingredient list, this is deceptive. Don't look here. I mean, that's more advanced. There might be a time and a place depending on your health goals, but right now, what you need to be looking at, ingredient list. If you have something that sounds like this, and it doesn't say a whole food right there, like it says organic Thompson raisins, no other ingredients. So your rice, it's going to come in a package. Sure, that's fine. But you can still identify it as a whole food, right? So that is our thing. If it came from a plant, green light. If it was made in a plant, which means it's been processed, altered away from God's original design, red light. And as we take a group through the 21-day program that we've created for you guys, we're gonna get, we'll get more into the nuances. You can keep asking your questions, but for now, just very simply remember that. The yes and the no's. That's the most important thing, is just with this firm foundation, getting it clear in your mind. What food groups, what foods constitute yes and which ones are no. And this salad is delicious. It's filling. It's actually like a shredded salad. So, of course, I forgot my, I'm going to step over here really quick because I've got hello. Get to see all the insides, all the inner guts of my kitchen. So if you do not have a zoodle maker, which I would not expect most of us in this challenge to have a zoodle maker, one person, Tina, let me know if you have received your zoodle maker. That was a prize that we sent out for the first person who completed the live video. So proud of you, Tina. Your spiralizer, this machine is called a spiralizer. It should be on your doorstep either yesterday or today. So let us know if you received that. And we're so excited for you to try that. And we're so grateful for you taking action towards your breakthrough, and also just breaking the ice and setting an example. We're all new, you know, we can be timid at the beginning, but thank you for being bold and taking action. So we rewarded Tina for that. So this is a spiralizer. It's really cool. It has a couple of different pieces that, and this is just a, you know, it makes it fun. It's just a fun way. Like when my kids have literally made a meal with this. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they clearly, there's knives here, so like we have to be careful. But I've trained them to be careful. We know how to do this in a safe way, and they can literally make lunch for us. My 3-year-old and 6-year-old. I'm not joking. And then when they make it themselves, first of all, this machine is fun. Second of all, they eat more of the veggies that I normally, if I prepare it, they're like, that was nice, thank you. Where's the rice, whatever. And that's okay. Like, that's okay. Their preferences. I'm not forcing them, forcing this lifestyle on them, but I see how natural it is when the food is fun and when they have more engagement in the process, they naturally want to eat it. And they just like hair, we just play with it. We play with our food. So this is super fun. I'm going to start with this mega carrot, and I'm actually making 2 portions. So if you have your beet and your apple, if you have your ingredients for this recipe, I'm gonna go ahead and have to chop this off. All right, I might have to stand up because I need some leverage. I'm gonna get a flat alignment. So it's really cool. You've got some teeth over here. Just set that up right there. And yeah, I'm gonna see that. And so this, gotta lock it down here. There we go. Why am I wiggling? That's not normal. Normally this model is really great and keeps me. I think it's because I've got such a long piece of carrot. That's why. I could cut this in half and make it easier on myself. Probably should. That way I've got 2 different portions. But this salad is really filling, and I talked yesterday about the great thing about this salad is it's really resetting our gut. It's really, really full of fiber, even though it's sweet and it's got some carbohydrates. They are healing carbohydrates. All of these colorful foods and antioxidants. So I hope you can see. I don't know if you can see, but I'll show you in a second. Once I get through this carrot. Other thing is, it makes me strong. This is good. I don't have to go grow this carrot and do a ton of hard work in the garden. Although one day I do know that the Lord is leading me to do a lot more of that. But again, this carrot is just mega. So normally it doesn't take this much work. Even though it does, even though this has been like, got my heart rate up a little bit. It's so fun and delicious. So we're going to do carrot. And just so you know, in culinary school and in restaurants and fine kitchens, carrot, beet, and apple are always a classic pairing for just the flavors to play off of each other so nicely. Because beets, even though they've got a lot of sweetness because they're a root vegetable, even though they've got that natural sweetness to them, they've also got that earthiness, right? Carrots are sometimes much sweeter than beets, and beets have a earthiness is the best word I can think of right now. So with that, the apple really balances out and plays off of the carrot and the beet. And then the lemon cancels out that bitterness from the apple. From the beet. So I'm going after my beet here. And the other reason I think is because I've chosen the smallest setting. You can choose different size noodles here. And I think in the past, I typically choose the bigger ones. And I'm kind of learning with these harder root veggies. See how quick and easy? I mean, it really is easy. Like, we've gotten in this society where we're so used to microwaves and like, I mean, this takes the same amount of time that it does to make a microwave dinner. I don't know. I'm going to promise you one thing. Once you get your taste buds reset, it tastes a million times better than a TV dinner. And it's actually healing versus, we just talked about if something's made in a plant, watch out. So there's health risks involved with TV dinners. But this salad is growing. I've got my carrots and my beets here. And I'm having like a raw veggie bowl. But I'm not done yet because I get to add apple. And this is my favorite part. It just makes the combination so, so delicious. And again, I want to share this with you. If you don't have a spiralizer, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have that. I didn't buy these ingredients. I can't eat lunch. No. There's two options. If you don't have a spiralizer, you more than likely have a food processor or a handheld grater. So go ahead and do that. It is a little bit more work, but we can all use a workout. It's been COVID-19. Like we need to move our bodies. And so with that, the other thing is just remember, whatever you do have on hand, as long as you keep it to wholesome plant foods, you're still going to have the results that you're looking for. It's just going to be slow. We optimize this diet for you with our knowledge and our combined experiences and recipes and everything that we offer as a dietitian, nutritionist, as a healing chef, and as Delia with her Kingdom coaching and diabetes education. I mean, this is such a treat to have it all. And that's why we can get such great results so quickly. Guys, look how much food this is. I only use half of a mega carrot. So the reason I have to use a mega, I don't know if that's the best word. It feels like, I don't know, Alice in Wonderland, like this carrot is huge. But so I've got my apple, I've got my beet. I'm probably going to put this in a bigger bowl and save a little bit of it, but toss it together with the lemon because it really brings a nice flavor profile, nice balance of flavors when you get all those things mixed together. And then of course your apple, when it gets next to the beet juice, your apple will turn pink. That's no problem. It's fun actually. My kiddos love it. But I was talking about the mega carrot. The only reason I'm using a mega carrot is because I knew I was using this spiralizer and it works better. It has more space to grab and create the noodles. So don't feel like you need a big carrot. Like a normal sized carrot will do just fine. And you can grate it or slice it. You can literally, I just like this salad because bringing the flavors together is so much more enjoyable than eating a raw beet, eating a raw apple, and eating a raw carrot. When you combine the three flavors with the lemon, and then of course you can add these as toppings. If you choose to go ahead and grate the whole thing and then squeeze the lemon juice and toss it all with lemon juice, I would recommend adding the sunflower seeds and the raisins later, like at the time on your plate when you're ready to eat it. But this salad, I think I put it in your challenge guide. This salad can keep for 3 days. It'll stay fresh. It'll stay delicious. So do the work to grate it all now, and then you'll have another meal later, more than likely. This is a ton of food. This is more than the green salads. But here's the thing I want to do. I want you guys, if you're up for it, take this challenge and go ahead and measure your pre and post blood glucose levels, your pre-meal and your post-meal, because I want you to see for yourself. I want you to see for yourself that your body can handle carbs, that you don't need to be afraid of carbs. We've been, especially for those who have been following this diet with us, it was designed with this in mind, to prove to you that carbs don't have to be feared, right? So you've spent 2 days, if you've been following along the plan and the recipes with us, you spent 2 days totally cleaning, detoxifying, and ramping back up that insulin resistance that we taught you about. And now carbs are nothing to be feared when you eat according to the original design. So do you see that? Delia mentioned it yesterday. I just really want to nail this down for everyone. But it's that the body has 2 modes, and we can use carbs, which is our default, carbs for fuel, especially, whole food form of carbohydrates. And or in starvation mode, when, food is scarce, we have a backup mode called ketosis, which is where the body burns fat and it tries to preserve its own natural energy. And so it's great. Actually, God is the one who, to the Israelites, he ordained, prescribed in the Bible. He's the one who basically set up the Israelite culture, right? And so God prescribed seasons and times for feasting and for fasting. God created that. And now the research, the modern science has proven that, if you go into ketosis and you start to see some of the healing benefits of fasting, when you're fasting, your body goes into ketosis. And that's why fat burn and keto diet and all this stuff is so big right now. But you can do the keto diet very wrong and you can have major health complications. And a lot of people do, because they're not working closely with an expert. They're just seeing some random blog that said, I ate 3 pounds of bacon and butter this week. Like, everyone knows that's not healthy. That's insane. That's insane to claim health from 3 pounds of butter and limitless bacon. I'm sorry, our common sense tells us better than that. So keto can be strongly misused and abused, but the reason that when keto is powerful is when people incorporate intermittent fasting and actually refrain for hours without eating. And the fasting, that's what God ordained. And the fasting is actually what our body, it allows our body to go into the healing. And you can find more about that in Isaiah. I think it's Isaiah 59 that talks about God's ordained fast, God's chosen fast. That's like way deeper than what we have time to get into in this 3-day blood sugar reset. But I'm sharing all this with you to remind you that carbs are nothing to be feared. When you are eating a Genesis 1:29 diet, when you're eating a Daniel 1 diet, it's right here. Like, I want to hear from you. I trying to remember who it was that said, excuse me, I just read the book of Daniel. I don't see it anywhere. Like, it just says Daniel just ate vegetables. Like, it's easy to miss, right? Like, unless you have the combined knowledge from the scientific community and just years of, just walking in this world, it's so easy to miss it, right, guys? You look at Daniel and it doesn't just like leap off the page at you that the benefits that that Daniel reaped from being on that diet. It's not something that when I was a kid, well, I didn't read the book of Daniel for myself when I was a kid. It was told as a Bible story, and it was like, oh, be brave like Daniel and he'll rescue you from the lion's den, something like that. But we didn't get the full story. So when I started reading the Bible for myself, and years went by that I did not see the connection. It didn't jump off the page at me. And I praise God that through Delia, what she experienced, and then get to read the book of Daniel, it was like, obvious, I've already lived it. So with that, what we're sharing, you have to remember that when you're on a when you are committed and you have set boundaries to say yes to God's healing foods and no to the King's dainty foods, when you've resolved in your heart not to defile your body and treat your body, make that decision in your heart and that commitment before God that I'm going to honor you, and we can align with the true king instead of the king of Babylon, the king of this world, and make that commitment, resolve that we won't defile ourselves. So when we're in that mode, that mindset, on that healing diet plan, we have no need to fear carbs. It's when we're including a bunch of heavy, dainty foods, and the American diet is like the epitome. We have some of the worst health rates in the world, especially for a developed country and a country that invests billions of dollars, trillions, I believe, of dollars in our healthcare industry. We have some of the worst rates, and it's because we're obsessed with these decadent foods. It's like, how many layers can I put on my hamburger? Or, I'm not condemning, especially not condemning you if you have indulged in those foods. There's no condemnation. That's not my heart. I'm just saying, as a culture where we've gotten to, where we celebrate the richer, the better, the chocolate cake that's like bigger than your plate. Like, why? The cheesecake that costs $10. The fried Oreos, I think, have been mentioned. Whatever it is, these decadent foods, when you combine Oreos, which are refined sugar, and then you dip them and fry them in fat, that's where the danger comes. That's where the diabetes diagnosis comes. And it's not, we've already talked about the process, and we already know there's no condemnation. But I just want to nail this down on day 3. Keto is working for some people. We don't recommend it because we both studied the long-term results. If you're restricting foods from the Garden of Eden, that's what was my red flag, because I got excited about the science I was reading for the keto diet. When I kept digging deeper and deeper, that's when I found whole food plant-based eating. I have literally been around the block like 1,000 times in the nutrition circle, because I knew when I was in school learning from the medical industry, I literally as a kid in school said, this is stupid that we would wait until people have made enough choices that they need dialysis. Their kidneys have been destroyed and they're on dialysis. And the diet that is prescribed for dialysis patients removes fruits and vegetables. And something inside me, literally, it came out of my mouth, this is stupid. And that set me on a path. There has got to be a better way than what I'm learning here. And what I found out years later, after I had, taken the long, winding path to the truth, one, it's all been right under my nose the whole time. One, it's been in my heart. I've always known that fruits and veggies, we all know. Common sense tells us eat more fruits and veggies. That there's no research that can refute that recommendation. Even doctors are recommending eat more fruits and veggies, even if they don't say it. That's out there for the public, right? But there was one more thing. Lord, what was that one more thing? That was I got a visitor from the outside, a big bug in my kitchen. Sorry. Anyway, that's my thing for you. That is we want to nail it down, that the danger to our health comes when the further away from Eden that we go. So if you look at your life and you look at your diet up before this challenge and you see, here's perfection, here's, enjoying and abundantly feasting from the garden, like this might be the ideal, and you feel like you're like in outer space right now, okay, awareness is the first step to change. And this morning, if you didn't see the session, we walked through a way to connect with your heart and find the motivation and the joy set before you so that you would, regardless of the obstacles you face, that you would have that inner strength by the Holy Spirit to experience his joy, his self-control, to call upon that peace that we talked about with Dr. Mike, but also to, take steps further. And if your journey needs to be long and slow, like the turtle, that's fine. That is fine. If that's where you are, hallelujah. Praise God. Embrace where you are, acknowledge where you are, and make that commitment to yourself and to the Lord that you're going to take that one next step closer. Now that you've seen a vision, now that you have some guidelines around what needs to be done and what needs to be, what the ideal might look like for lifestyle. We're just on level 1 and 2 of our 7-step framework for kingdom health. Faith is first. Food is next. And from there, you can start to refine. This is the foundation that we're building here. So once you've seen in those 2 tiers, those 2 foundational tiers, what ideal could look like, now you have a vision. And the Bible says without vision, the people perish. But now you have a vision and you can choose life. You can choose to take steps forward. So with that, I've got my salad here. The last steps, really, really simple. All I need to do, squeeze lemon. And again, to be able to eat this, I'm going to transfer it to a big bowl. But if you wanted, one thing I like to do, some people have lemon squeezers, but I like to just get the knife in there and kind of twist it around. Be very careful. Again, I think I mentioned this yesterday. Don't let the knife go through the rind and then you're cutting your finger off. Be very careful. If you don't feel comfortable with this, then do what's right for you to get the juice out of the lemon. But if you are comfortable with a knife and you're cautious, then go ahead. This really helps to release some of those extra juices. So I'm going to put that on there. Lemon again. Lemon is not only an amazing cancer fighter, it's also a blood sugar regulator. So lemon is a food that I try and consume at least once a day. Not just lemon, lime, grapefruit. Those are all very, very, very powerful, very healing. And if you can, you notice, what the rind is? Between the outer colorful part, there's the white rind before you get to the pulp. And that rind actually has the highest concentration. So that's why in our smoothies, I encourage you to include as much of the rind as you can, because the rates of cancer nowadays are so high. Why not? Why not use your food as medicine and get some cancer protection and prevention in your smoothie? Why not? Just a little bonus for you. I use these things, guys. I'm sharing with you, pulling back the veil, bringing you behind the scenes of some of the best tips that I give my nutrition clients behind closed doors, and the amount of money that they pay to sit with me and gain this knowledge. You're receiving it for free. So I pray that you will value it and that you will act on it, that you will receive it. All right, so I've got my raisins. Again, I know someone said they didn't like raisins. That's no problem. Again, do what works for you. The salad is actually really good without raisins. It just adds a nice little extra pop of sweetness, which is fun. And you've got your sunflower seeds. You want to use about a tablespoon. Just put those over. So these are all raw foods. Again, you're getting so much nutrition, nourishment, fiber, gut healing. We talked about the lemon being anti-cancer. And it's going to be a great meal. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I am going to go eat. The bell's ringing. That's lunchtime. That's a wrap. So have a blessed day, and make sure, one more reminder for you. I don't want to get the beet juice on myself, but one more reminder for you is that Delia mentioned, we've been mentioning, but the afternoon session with the diabetes education and hearing Dr. Matt's testimony of how he reversed his diagnosis of prediabetes, hearing his story, and he's going to share his testimony at 4:30 Pacific this afternoon. So that means 5:30 if you're in Mountain Time, 6:30 if you're in Central Time Zone, and then 7:30. I don't know why this is so hard for me, but trying to cover all of our bases so no one is confused or without information. I want you guys to be there. We will go ahead and create the link in the broadcast for the live stream, just to let you know again what time we're going live. You can find that in the announcements section or the unit section. We'll go ahead and have that up, and hopefully as easy as possible for you to find. So we love you so much. We'll see you this afternoon with Dr. Matt. Many blessings from my healing kitchen to yours.